Alright, so here I'm kind of answering a request on the forum. I don't know if I'm going to make a habit of this because I'm actually trying to work on another site that's specifically geared to this problem, kind of posting a project and everyone taking a different shot at it. But um, seemed like a fun problem, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. It's the Beijing Stadium by Herzog and Meuron. So what I'm going to do here is try to build this thing with some splines first, and I'm not trying to build this project exactly. Hold shift and scale it to keep making copies. And so I have basically the rails for a cross section I'm going to do. I'll convert this to an editable spline and then attach these in the order in which I want to cross section them. And we'll make that Bezier. So now we have this kind of donut shape, and scale this a little more if we want that opening to be a little smaller. Then we can put an FFD box on this at 2 by 2, or should get out of my sub-object level, and then let's put a, I don't know, 3 by 3 by 3. Just to kind of, I mean, I don't know, I'm not intimately familiar with the form, so I'm just going to kind of distort it a bit, just so kind of show the idea of how we could do it. And I'm kind of doing this on the fly. I haven't tried yet before, so kind of running the risk of this not working. But so now that we have that, let's go ahead and do a surface modifier, and let's flip the normals, and it's closing it off. So we'll put an edit patch modifier so we can delete that and delete that. So now we kind of have the form we want. And essentially what we want to do is slice this up. I'm going to go back down to our editable spline and give us some more interpolation. See if that carries through. Which it didn't. It's here in the surface. Let's add some more segments here. That didn't carry through either. It's in the patch. So here in our view steps, and show interior patches. So now we're seeing it. Actually, we can take this down because we'll probably run a mesh smooth on the pieces we have after. If we do that, it's going to get all kind of gnarly. So let's just not let this get too tight because we're going to want to chop it up. So what we need to do is chop this surface up now. And I'm going to go ahead and put an edit poly modifier on here. And we could go to the element level, select it, do a slice plane. I'll just move this up and kind of rotate it around. So we'll just do a slice. I'm going to kind of make a few of these. And this, I'm not pretending to model that particular building either. This is really about just achieving a design effect. At this point, more rigorous version would have to be done in a more robust package. So let's now rotate our slice plate again. Maybe something a little more drastic. So there's some slices. And now if we go to the edge mode, we should get those by default. They're automatically selected since we just did that operation. So now what we can do is, since they're selected, we can do a chamfer on those faces. We'll chamfer those out the amount we want. See, this is part of the problem we're going to have, is they're going to start to get kind of gnarly, which is a bit of a problem. So let's cancel that and let's try and extrude. So we have those, but this is double faces. That's the way extrude works, which we don't necessarily want either. So let's see how we can be tricky about this. So we'll do OK. And we'll just get rid of that geometry. So here we have a shell already. And let's see if they're on different smoothing groups. Let's see what Max did for us automatically. They're not on a smoothing group at all. So this is interesting. It's all one welded element. So let's see what happens if we go back to edge. They're still selected. Let's see what happens if we break those or split them. And now go to the element level. If we delete that, we'll have a bunch of one-sided faces. So it becomes a bit of a selection problem how we do this stuff. Because in having, going back a little bit, in having these segments, if we did create shape, I'll just hit Control H. Oh, I haven't set that here yet, so I'll just do hide selection. Now we have the curves, which we can't necessarily extrude, and I'll select these all and just weld them. A little bigger of a threshold here. Because if we extrude them, they're just going to go up. See, they just go vertical, which we don't want either. I mean, another option is to then do a sweep on them, but we don't know the directionality of each of these, so that's a problem also. If we made them all bars, say we made them white, or see some are horizontal, some are thick. So I mean, if you're rendering it from far away and again you just wanted to achieve an effect, this could work, but probably still not the ideal method. What are our other options here? Delete those and unhide all. Go back to our edges here. Let's try chamfering them with one segment. Yeah, we don't want that either. Open is just going to remove it, which doesn't really help us either. Because the original idea was to chamfer them. Actually, this is pretty big, so I mean, well, it's not really that big, depending on the scale of the object. But the idea was to chamfer the geometry. We'll just take it through. Okay. And then split those faces, which we could then select these elements, do a Control I to invert, delete those, and we have these ribbons now. And if we shell these ribbons, we have these shapes. Which, I mean, we could globally do the procedures to turn them into I-beams or something like that if we needed them. That would be pretty easy, actually. But yeah, from here out, and we're still getting all this kind of nasty geometry, so we don't want to use this technique. But this is a way to kind of chop that surface up without using curves, because if we use curves, it's hard to extract it. Well, there's my kind of 2 cents at giving it a shot right now on how I'd go about doing it. You can get the curves out pretty easily, but then it's really by cutting up the surface this way, it's the easiest way to give it a thickness based on the normals of the surface, where if you do curves, it's going to be really hard to project it or get it to match. You could do a 2-rail sweep and put the profiles on each end, but that would require some sort of automation, which would be pretty tricky to do through the interface. It could also be something that maybe if we tried it with NURBS, we can try that. Let me go back a couple ways here. Hopefully I didn't go beyond the undo levels, which I did. It's okay, that's why I model with modifiers. We can get rid of all that and get rid of our surface. And let's convert it to NURBS. And we're kind of looking for trouble by doing this, but let's give it a shot anyway. I can right click and get out of there. So now we have this NURBS surface. Which we can control our CVs and it'll update. But I think as soon as we put any of the kind of modifier operations on here, it's going to turn it into a mesh. So say we did a slice modifier. Yeah, it's already a mesh. So that doesn't really help us. Yes, that's kind of what I was thinking as our ways to be able to do this. But I'll keep thinking about it, and I'll probably post another attempt. But give it a shot. Hopefully that points you in the right direction. As usual, if there's any questions, go ahead and just post them in the forum or in the comments section.